afternoon is really what I think of as the central ingredient of understanding of poverty light. I've been looking through many of the questions that you have asked, and most of them resolve around, to put it bluntly, making me wrong and making yourself right. And that's absolutely, I'm not here to be right, and I'm not here to make anybody wrong. But most people think of problems in terms of horrible things that do happen to people, to innocent people, and are saying things like, they're not, in not so many words, how can you say that there are no problems when these kinds of things happen to people? And they happen, and they do happen. But I would like you to just keep in mind that this universe has a guiding force in it, and that all of us show up into the world on time. And none of us ever question, like I showed up on May the 10th, 1940. And I've never yet questioned and said, you know, it should have been 1430. Or it should have been 1847, or it should be 200 years from now. We never question when we show up, because we show up when we're called. And we also leave when we're called. And one of the hardest things for us to deal with is this whole idea of death and how we die and suffering and so on. And I'd like to suggest to you that we leave on time. And that a child dying is a tragedy to most of us, of course. And I have 8 children, and I've been blessed that, you know, that they're all healthy and living. And I'm not even saying here that I'm certain that I would be able to handle something terrible happening to them being murdered or raped or anything like that. I'm suggesting that I have a knowing deep within me that we're all here for a purpose, that our lives have a heroic mission, and when that mission is fulfilled and we're called back to God, it's not for us to question with our egos. And that when we say a child is supposed to be born and be healthy and die in their sleep in their 100th year, that's just our egos talking. But then in fact, some children come in for only a week, and some come in for 4 months, and some come in for 6 years, have lessons to teach, and leave. And the tragedy is that we interpret all of that through the eyes of it shouldn't happen. Hunger and starvation are part of the perfection of the universe. But so is your desire to end. And that's where you want to place your attention and your energy. Not on what is wrong, but on what it is that you feel in your heart you can do to bring us all closer to God.
You can either do it now while you're still alive in your body in the illusion of time and space, or you can do it at death. If you decide to make your appointment with infinity while you still live and breathe, it's like learning to die while you're alive. Once you make this transition to the active side of infinity, your fear of death dissolves and you laugh at the folly of death. Understand your true essence. Look death squarely in the face and break the shackles of slavery to that fear. You do not die. Announce it. Meditate on it. Look at it from this angle. If you're not an infinite being, what would be the purpose of your life? Surely not going through the motions of being born, working, accumulating, losing it all, getting sick, and dying. By waking up to your infinite essence and staying connected to the 7 faces of intention, you begin to free yourself of the limitations your ego has placed on you. You set in motion the guidance and assistance of the infinite universal mind to work with you. And most of all, you feel the peace that overtakes you when you expel your fear of death and mortality. I'm touched by the stories of great spiritual teachers leaving this earthly plane feeling blissful and fearless. They banished all doubt, extricated all fear, and met infinity head-on with grace. Here are the final words of a few of the people I've long admired. The hour I have long wished for is now come. Teresa of Avila. Let us be kinder to one another. The last words of Aldous Huxley. If this is death, it's easier than life. The last words of Robert Louis Stevenson. This is the last of earth. I am content. John Quincy Adams. I shall hear in heaven. Ludwig van Beethoven. Light, light, the world needs more light. Johann von Goethe. I am going to that country which I have all my life wished to see. William Blake. It's very beautiful over there. Thomas Edison. Ram, Ram, Ram. God, God, God. Mahatma Gandhi. Why not write your own final words now and make your transition to being an infinite being while you still occupy your body? As you consider your appointment with infinity, look at how most of us live our lives. We know we're in a body that's going to die, but we behave as if it's not going to happen to us. This viewpoint is from the inactive side of infinity, where we don't see our connection to intention and our ability to stay in harmony with our creative spirit. Let's examine the essential difference between keeping your appointment with infinity now or at your own death. In one case, you'll be on the active side of infinity, and in the other, you'll avoid it by being on the inactive side. The active versus the inactive sides of infinity. On the active side of infinity, you're fully cognizant that you're in a body that's going to die. Furthermore, your inner knowing is that you aren't that body, its mind, or any of its achievements and possessions. On this active side of infinity, you are first and foremost an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and you do all of your living in all of your relationships from this very perspective. On the inactive side of infinity, your experience of life is quite the opposite. Here, you're first and foremost a human being having an occasional spiritual experience. Your life is guided by a fear of death, a separation from others, a competitive style, and a need to dominate and be a winner. The inactive side of infinity separates you from the power of intention. Here are some of the distinctions that I see between those who live in the active side of infinity and those who deny their eternal nature and opt for the inactive side of infinity. A sense of destiny. In the active side of infinity, your connection to intention will no longer be thought of as an option, but as a calling that you must heed. The inactive side of infinity leads you to see life as chaotic, purposeless, and meaningless, while your position on the active side of infinity leads you to fulfill a destiny that you feel deep within you. Your sense of destiny lets you know that you're playing this game of life on the active side of infinity. Prior to accessing your sense of destiny, your motivation was what you wanted out of life and what you'd like to do. On the active side of infinity, you realize that it's time to do what your destiny intended you to do. Wallowing around hoping things will work out, waiting for your luck to change, and hoping others will come through for you no longer feels right. Your sense of destiny allows you to realize, I am eternal, and that means that I showed up here from the infinitude of spiritual intention to fulfill a destiny that I must act upon. You begin stating your objectives in the language of intention, knowing they'll materialize. You enlist the power of intention to keep you on track. It can't fail because there's no failure in the infinite. This 13th century poem may inspire you to know you have a destiny.
Jag kan inte säga någonting nu. Där börjar vi här.
Jag får önska dig och dina barn och hela din familj en god hälsa och välgång i välfärd.
Tack ska du ha.
Min gode gamla vän.
Jag uppskattar. Så när tänkte du beställa tid då?